And we're going to open up in prayer real quick. Father, we thank you right now in the name of Jesus. And we pray, Lord God, that as we study this subject of Christian counseling, you will cause the very insight of our understanding to be enlightened, that we may know the hope wherewith we are called to present ourselves in a way, Lord God, that we may better your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Graduation is quickly approaching, fastly near. So we're going to go over to lesson number 14, I believe it is. Let me see, to make sure that we're going to backtrack to lesson number 13. We're going to work on a number of things tonight. The first thing that we are going to work on, is going to go back over the counseling tools. What to do. We're going to go over the projected path of recovery. That's the baseball diamond. Now, in the projected path of recovery, it's very simple. This is what you do. We're going to go over to that baseball diamond page. I want you to find that baseball diamond page. The projected path of recovery. You got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. In the projected path of recovery, I want you to start at home base. All of the words on the outside of that page, I want you to just block it out. Block it out right now. And let's do this. Let's get a blank sheet of paper. Let's draw a baseball diamond. Let's just get a blank sheet of paper and let's draw a baseball diamond. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything perfected, but this is what I want you to do. Let's draw a baseball diamond. Simple. Now at the bottom, I want you to put that home plate. I want you to just write home right there. And we're going to go up to the right and we're going to write, of course, first base, up to the top, second base, then third base. Okay. You got it? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, between home and first, I want you to write between the two, level 1 conflict. Level 1 conflict. You got it? Between 2 and 3, I want you to write level 2 conflict. Between 1 and 2. Between 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Level 2 conflict. I saw the referee over here automatically went to 2 to 3. I hit it wrong. And between 2 and 3, I want you to write level 3 conflict. Level 3 conflict. So you have level 1 conflict, level 2 conflict, level 3 conflict. And we'll talk about what do I do between third and home. Now, remember, when you are dealing with your client, the first thing you're doing is a consultation. That's just to let your client know, hey, I am a counselor. I'd love to be able to help you with your situation. If you want me to be your counselor. Client says, yes, I would like. You go over paperwork. You go over that. Great. Consultation is over with. The very next session is called a freedom session. Remember that. So it's consultation, then freedom session. You do your freedom session. And in your freedom session, what are you doing, Pastor Rob?
You just listen at the client, talk about their problems and why they're there.
You're asking questions. You're gathering as much. It's an evaluation period. You're gathering as much information as possible. With your freedom session, you're going to have a couple of freedom sessions and maybe 2 freedom sessions. But in that freedom session, the client is pouring out and you're asking the client questions. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your relationship. Tell me about your family. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Why do you say that? How did that make you feel? You're asking those type of questions to open the client up so that the client is engaging. You're gathering as much information as possible. Now, you are not in your freedom session. You're not trying to deal with specific issues that are showing up. You're just trying to make sure you make note of those issues as much as possible so that you can build a successful treatment plan. All right? Okay, so you got your freedom session. After your freedom session, the very next step is the problem list. The remote is behind you, Dr. Young, if you need that. The problem list. The problem list. Now, in the problem list, it's a little bit different. The problem list, you're gathering all your information from your treatment session. All of your information. You write down all of the problems that you can think of. You remember that when we were studying it, it said as evidenced by. The client is suffering from depression, as evidenced by lack of sleep, lack of appetite, worn, depressed mood, dark, glooming view of life. All of those things, as evidenced by, that's your problem list. That's your problem list. Now, once you build your problem list, you now have to put your problems into levels of conflict. Do you remember level 1 conflict? Level 1 conflict was environmental influences. So it was social. It was any problem that has to deal with anybody outside of the person you're counseling or the group you're counseling. Problem with their job, if they brought that up and you saw that there were some problems, there are problems with their childhood, problems with all of that, that's level 1 conflict. So we deal with level 1 conflict between home plate and first base. So how do I know what sessions am I supposed to have with my client? After I've done my problem list, after I put my problems into their levels of conflict, then I can say, okay, I'm dealing with these problems first. And after I deal with all my level 1s, I'm going into my level 2s. Now, I may have 6 sessions before I make it to first base. Then I may only have 2 sessions before I make it to second base. But it's according how many problems I have that are level 1 conflict or environmental, level 2 conflict or personal problems, fleshly influences, personal problems. Level 3 conflict is demonic or satanic influences. You got it?
Yes.
That's how you build your projected path of recovery. Yes, ma'am.
When do we actually diagnose the client what she's suffering from? When the diagnosis?
You've already got all that information in your freedom session.
Okay. So when you do the problem list,
You're actually aligning the diagnosis.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You're aligning the diagnosis when you do your problem list.
Okay.
If you don't do a problem list, you can't get a diagnosis. If you don't do a problem list, you cannot do a projected path of recovery.
Okay.
A problem list is most important. If you don't believe me, ask her. She graduated and she was in the field and she was working and she was doing it, had her own practice and working at another practice, and she wasn't doing a problem list until it came time for her to, until it came time for her to develop her own freedom session, her own projected path to recovery. And then she realized how important the problem list was. It's very, 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 very important. So we're gonna do some exercises tonight. I'm gonna show you something. At the bottom of your problem list, I want you to write down. The bottom of your baseball diamond. I want you to write down some problems. Let me just go over some. Let me just throw it out there. You ready? Husband is alcoholic. Right as I talk. Husband is an alcoholic. Husband and wife. Wife is seeking divorce. Let's say that. Wife is seeking divorce. Child is torn between the two. Husband has lost job. Due to substance abuse or alcoholism.
I got paying for 50 kids to go see Black Panther because it's an all black cast, and some of the
it's
kids
worth
came ferry instead of going to theater matches.
Oh, it's worth it. It's worth
I
it.
told them don't tell me about it. I couldn't come tonight.
I saw it Friday. We saw it on Friday and went and saw it again on Saturday. We'd have saw it again Sunday, but we didn't have nobody else to take.
Made $361 million.
When you watch it, you're going to see why.
God.
It's worth it.
I'm excited. I want to see it so bad.
It's worth it. It's worth
We
it.
paid for 50 kids to go, and some of them got there.
Let's help Pastor Riley out. At the bottom of our baseball diamond, we are writing down some things. We're writing down some things on the one you drew. The one you drew.
Okay.
We write down some problems very quickly. What are the problems we have so far? Somebody help me out.
Husband is an alcoholic.
Husband is an alcoholic.
Wife seeking divorce.
Hold on just a second. Let's let him write. Husband is an alcoholic. Wife seeking divorce.
Child torn between the two.
That's why I stopped at.
Husband lost his job.
Husband lost his job. Wife has no reference of marital relationship. She has nobody to look at. Her parents are not married. Her grandparents are not married. Her aunties are not married. None of those people are married. Wife has no reference of marriage to view. You got it? Next problem. Let me see. Husband was abandoned by mother and father as a child. Raised in an orphan home. You can put that in parentheses.
I just said exactly what you said in parentheses.
Raised in an orphan home. Husband suffers from low self-esteem. What the wife is receiving advice to leave husband from mother, sister, and friends. All right, we're going to do a projected path of recovery. We're going to go through. Now, before we can even do this is our problem list laid out. This is how one sheet of paper. Your problem list would normally just be on one page. Whether it's a lot of problems or not, you would just put it on one page. All right. Then you would go inside of your problems and you would begin to list level 1 or level 2. So we need to find out. You could just put 1, 2. You can put them in circle. You can put a 1 and circle it, whatever. But level 1 conflict is environmental. Level 2 conflict is
Personal or flesh.
fleshly influences or personal. And level 3 conflict is demonic or satanic influences. I want you to go inside of each one of those problems. Put a 1, a 2, or a 1 and a 2, or 3, or. So you can put them in their levels. How'd you fix that?
Don't question.
Is it too cold?
Yeah, it's getting cold. Yeah, it was. Thank you. Your levels of conflict and your problem list are going to become your best friends.
Got a question.
Yes, sir.
Husband lost his job. What the reason he lost his job, he determined the level of conflict. It was because of the alcohol.
Yeah, because of alcoholism.
I guess without a freedom session, really hearing why
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't have that information. You're correct. In fact, let's add another problem to it. He's lost his job. Matter of fact, on side of that problem of lost his job, you can put this, that the third job he's lost this year. And it was due to alcoholism. All right. Are we coming, Dr. Brown?
I'm getting them.
How many you got so far, Dr. Nelson?
I didn't.
How many level ones you got?
Actually, 5.
Five? 5 level ones. Dr. Riley, how many level twos you have?
4.
4 level twos? Dr. Brown, how many level threes?
I got 2.
2? Okay. Let's go over your level ones. Your level one, Dr. Nelson, is
Wife has no reference as to how to be married.
okay.
Environmental right.
Okay.
And husband was abandoned by parents and raised in an orphanage.
Okay.
And wife is receiving advice to leave her husband from her mother, sister, and friends.
Say it again.
Wife receiving
Receiving
advice.
Okay.
And husband suffers from low self-esteem. I put 1, but I also had 3 because it's a spiritual thing. I mean,
Okay. 1 and 3. And husband suffers from low self-esteem.
yeah.
Okay. That's going to go into level 2 conflict. That's going to be 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Yeah, it may be because of another thing, but the way you wrote it, what he's suffering from now, that's a personal problem he has.
Okay.
It may be because of an influence, an environmental influence,
Right.
but it's a personal issue, so you wouldn't deal with that
Okay.
first. You'll deal with his environmental issues first,
Then-
and then his personal issues, and then those demonic and satanic influences. Okay. What else you have? Level 1.
Do the child torn between the 2 of them?
The child is torn between the 2. That's a good one. That's a very good level 1. Because you want to get the child into a safe, stable environment,
Right.
and you want to do that as soon as possible. Level 2, who do we go to? Petra Riley, what do you have for level 2?
I had wife seeking divorce.
Okay.
Uh,
This is, now, I apologize, I didn't clarify. This is a couple's therapy. They both are in therapy with you.
Okay.
Okay. A wife seeking divorce, that's a level 2.
I got wife seeking divorce. Wife has no reference of marriage
Why'd you put it in level 2?
because of the way you stated that she has no background about marriage because of a family issue.
So you're dealing with it from the point that it's a personal perspective she has on marriage.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just showing how you can view
Right.
those 2 conflicts in different angles, because you're going to approach them for whatever angle you view them in.
Gotcha.
You're approaching more of the environmental. You have this came from somebody else. You're approaching it from the angle of you're going to have to deal with it. This is a problem you have within yourself that you don't have a reference to look to help you with marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
I also had husband was abandoned by mother and father of the child, and I actually had 2 and 3. Like she had the husband suffered from low self-esteem.
Husband suffered from low self-esteem. Okay. Okay. That can be that's definitely personal. Dr. Brown, you had level 3 conflict, and they were
I had 2. The one that says husband is an alcoholic,
okay.
and the third one is husband has lost his job due to alcoholism.
Lost his job due to alcoholism. Okay. That's gonna be more of level 1. That's going to be environmental. The alcoholism can be level 2 or 3. 2 could be the fact that he's the one doing the drinking. 3 could be the fact that he don't understand the influence Satan is having over his mind with an addiction.
So they go 2 or
2 or 3 or 2 and 3. Actually, if it show up in more than one place, here's the good thing about it. You get to deal with it more than one time. You get to deal with the subject more than one time.
Can I ask something while you're on that? When we put the diagnosis here and got moderate to severe depression, which is what I had on one of them, and I had a single episode. I think we talked about that last time, but I really
Your DSM-5 is going to let you know what a single episode is. A single episode can sometimes, under some diagnosis, be within the past 6 months, or it has never transpired before. If it's not repetitive, showing up within a 6-month period, or in a 90-day period, or in a 3-year period.
you put the range on.
Yeah. But it's going to let you know in their diagnosis if it's single episode or not. If it doesn't state single episode or anything like that, then it's not required to have a single episode or anything like that.
So you don't have to put it.
You don't have to put it. All right. Now, everybody see your level 1, your level 2, level 3. Here's what you would do for your baseball diamond.
Okay.
You would put all of your level 1s. How many level 1s you had, Dr. Nelson? 5? 5 level 1s. You will have, I believe we went to 4 because one of them got switched to a level 2. So you have 4 sessions, not counting your freedom sessions, that you're going to have before you even make it to first base. And give me one of your level 1 conflicts.
Child torn between the 2.
Child torn between the 2. This is what I would name, and you can get to, here's the fun part. You get to name your sessions whatever you want to name them. It could be something like this.
Help the child section.
Help the child.
Help the child
Great.
section.
To help the child. That's a great name. Okay, today we're gonna deal with help the child. And we're gonna talk about how important it is to focus on the value of the child and parenting the child, not on your personal problems. Because whether you two stay together or not, you still are going to have to co-parent this child. Help the child session. Okay, we got that. Do you see how you can name your session? Give me another number 1.
Wife is receiving advice to leave her husband.
The wife is receiving advice to just walk out and leave, but she's in counseling right now. So what would you name the session?
Bad advice.
Bad advice. How to recognize
Bad advice.
good and bad advice. We'll do, because it may not necessarily be bad. We're just not starting with the session. We need to, how to recognize good or bad advice. Do you see how you're filling up your between first base?
Yes.
Pastor Riley, you over there with level 2 conflict. Give me one of your level 2s and then give me a title for that session.
Wife seeking divorce. Because I always look at stuff positive.
Okay.
If I was going to say positive, is this the way you really want to go?
That's good. That's a good title. Is this the way you really want to go? You can at the crossroad.
At the cross.
Yeah, I mean, is this the way you really want to go? Thinking out your decisions. Whatever you want to name it.
Okay.
Whatever you want to name it. Give me another level 2, Pastor.
Husband suffering from low self-esteem.
Husband suffering from low self-esteem. What would you name it?
How can I pick myself up?
That's a preacher talking.
That's that preacher talking now. How can I pick myself up? That's the sermon title. How can I pick myself up?
Yeah.
See, now you have the titles. You have the titles to go with your session. In my freedom sessions, I am allowing my client to lead me to the hurt. So I'm not trying to do the leading in the freedom sessions. I'm just asking questions. Why do you say that? How did that make you feel? When did that happen? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. I mean, that's what I'm doing. But when we start getting into these individualized sessions, I have the influence. I'm doing the leading now. And when we show up, I'm saying, all right, today we're going to deal with, do you see it?
Yes.
I make small talk. Say, tell me about your week. Tell me how did it go. Once they tell me about their week, all right, today we got a good session today. We have, how can I pick myself up? And then you have a worksheet. Why is self-esteem important. And that's just to engage the client, to draw the client into action. And now you're able to interject the psychological techniques with the biblical principles. If you have a client that is vocally in a relationship with God, then you would use the explicit approach where you're showing, and you would say over in Mark chapter 6 verse 45, or you would say in John chapter 8 verse 12, and in Philippians chapter 4 verse 13, you would say that. But if it's a person that haven't given their life to Christ at all, and they don't want to be pushed with the religion just yet, or the faith just yet, you would use an implicit approach. You wouldn't say Philippians 4 and 13, I can do all things through Christ which strengthen me. You would say something like this: do you know that when you begin to trust God, that He will empower you to do anything? I said the same thing. I just said it from a different light with the implicit approach. Do you see that? I can do that now in my sessions. I can do that now in my sessions.
I got one of mine was this person, substance abuse. Man, I went through that DSM book and I just tore my brains out trying to get the code.
Yeah.
But anyway, I told them to read some scriptures for them. And one of them was Proverbs 21. And I said, I'm not going to tell you what it means, but I'm going to tell you what it says. Wine is market strong, brings the great, and they that are deceived their lives not wise. I need you to tell me what that means when you come back. And also read Psalms 23 to balance on.
Yes. That's a good homework. That's a very good homework. Tell me what that means. Come back. I have them write it down and bring it back to me so I can put it in that file. So that I can keep it in that file. Because if they come back 7 sessions from now, I want to be able to pull out the file and say, hold up, that's not what you said. I can't do this, Pastor. No, you remember you said this? You said this. Dr. Brown, you got, I believe now, you have one level 3 conflict, correct? And that level 3 conflict is?
It was husband is an alcoholic.
Alcoholism, addiction to alcoholism. What would you entitle this session?
How to become sober.
How to become sober. Now watch this. The reason that's last. You've worked through 4 sessions of level 1 conflict. You've worked through, I believe you had 4 sessions, Pastor, of level 2?
Yes.
You've worked through 4 sessions of level 2. And by the time you get to your level 3, he's already been picked up enough with the self-esteem. You remember those sessions we had about self-esteem? You remember those sessions about at the crossroad? He's starting to see his child a lot more. It's starting to mean a lot more to him. And now you're saying, all right, this sober life, we got to deal with it. But we got to continue to walk in it. You've been doing great. And this is how I want you to manage it. Now, from third base to home, that's what I like to call my lanyard sessions. My lanyard sessions, I'm just going to throw in some stuff to prepare you to discharge, because I don't want you to be a client forever. You got it? So as I'm preparing you to discharge, as I'm preparing you to discharge, here's what you do. You just break down. You just break down some stuff like the value of mentors. That's a good one I like to throw in there. You need somebody in your life that can speak into your life, that can pour into your life, that can help you in so many ways. Effective time management. You know what I would have dealt with in level 2? I would have dealt with something like conflict resolution. The wife and the husband are at odds with each other. I would have dealt with something like that. Do you see what I'm saying now? Between third and home, my lanyard session, I would deal with something like this. How to develop a goal. Enjoying my best life now. Because in my level 2, I would have dealt with anger management. I would have dealt with stability in level 2. Why would I have dealt with stability?
Because of loss of jobs.
He lost 3 jobs in 1 year. I don't care who you are. Let me say this here. I don't care how good you look. I don't care how good the sex is or anything else. How much money you have. If not money, if the money gets tight, you can look good. You can be great in bed. But if the money gets tight in your marriage, over time it's going to be a problem. So he needs to learn how to be stable.
And everything you said about a lot of this and these conflicts, I'm not counseling the person. I'm working with the person. They got fired 3 times in 5 months. And they just got fired, and I don't think they give me a job at this time. I'm the attorney. The first 2 times I got a job at, but it's female instead of a male. It's a female instead of a male, and because of this, they're having marital problems, a lot of conflict, and all the reason that they don't have young children. The children are older, but it's problems and things going on. So.
Come on up, Pastor Riley. Have a seat right there. Let's see. Who am I going to use? Dr. Nelson, you come on up. Pastor Riley, bring your pen and paper, Dr. Nelson. Pastor Riley, you are the client. Dr. Nelson, you are the counselor. You're going through a freedom session. Here's the way you start off a freedom session. You remember how to start it off?
Introduce myself.
Introduce yourself, and then you've already had your consultation, so this is your client now. You introduce yourself and you say, so why are we here? And you begin to ask those questions. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about, once he say, why are we here? He's going to tell you why. And you can ask questions like, why do you say that? How did that make you feel? Tell me about, if you want to go into a different area than where he is, you can say, tell me about your employment. Where do you work? You're gathering as much information as possible in your freedom session. Let's begin, and you speak loud and clear so the rest of the class can hear you. Now you want to introduce yourself and start off.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Virginia Nelson, and I'm the counselor for today. Pastor Raymond Riley.
Yes.
I'm not here right now. I'm going to interrupt you when I need to.
Raymond Riley, it's good to see you again. Can you tell me why you're here?
I have some personality issues.
Describe it.
You don't want to go into describe.
Oh, not yet.
No, you want to.
I'm just gathering.
You're gathering information.
Okay.
So you want to say,
No,
you don't have to start off. We're going to pick up from right there. He said he got personality issues. If he starts talking, let him talk. So you want to pause as much. You want to let him know, I'm going to be doing some writing while we're talking just to get information. But let him talk. But if he pauses and he stops, then you want to say, why do you say that? Personality issue, that's a good question to ask. Go ahead. He said he has personality issues and action.
Okay. Yeah, personality issues. Okay.
Why do you say that?
Why do you say that, Mr. Riley?
It seems like I'm always in conflict with other people. I feel like I know who I am, but sometimes I feel like I'm at odds with everybody just because of conversations we have.
You right
People
there.
take me the wrong way, so it makes me feel like
You're about to start asking
I am
questions.
the one that has the issues.
You speak louder so the rest of the class can hear you.
How often do you have these conversations? Is it daily occurrence?
Just about every time I talk with someone, and it pushes me in a way of being angry.
Are you aware of your behavior when you're having this conversation?
Sometimes I just don't care.
And does it feel like the person is not receiving what you're saying?
All right, here's what you're trying to do.
You're trying to get to the point where you can fix the problem. That's what you're trying to. I see you going down that road. You don't want to fix a problem yet. You want to get as much, because he says, this is what I would do. When I ask, why are we here? And he said, I have a personality issue. I would say, wow, that's No, not the personality issue. The fact that you're able to diagnose yourself. Who told you you have a personality issue? I want to know, have you seen another counselor? Have you diagnosed yourself? And then I can ask some of those questions. Dr. Brown, pick up on questions. He's still the client and you're picking up on questions. He left off of, she left off of your behavior. Have you recognized your behavior when you do this? And he said majority of the time he just don't care. Want me to help you out?
Yes.
Okay. When you say you don't care, tell me what you mean. Follow me, y'all, how I'm doing it.
I don't care about the way people think about how I am.
Okay. Have people told you frequently that you are a certain way?
Yeah.
Describe that to me. What did they say? They say you like what?
They say you're arrogant, you're stuck up. You don't care about hurting people's feelings.
Okay. Do you hear that often?
Often enough.
You hear it often enough? Okay. Let's take a different route. Tell me about your childhood. Where you from?
I'm from Vidalia.
What did I do? Help me out, class. What did I do?
You switch directions so you wouldn't be diagnosing him right now.
I wouldn't diagnose him right now, but I also saw his body language change. When his body language changed, he started getting uptight and he getting defensive. I want to go a different route. I don't want him to be defensive. I want to disarm him so that he can't hide where it hurts. And also, I want to know this. If he's that way, let's find out when did it start. Tell me about your childhood. Action.
I was a daddy's child because my dad worked at night and he kept me during the day. Learned a lot from him, but we didn't talk a lot. I just observed him a lot. But I just like the way he talked to people, and I guess I picked up on that. And I didn't think it was anything wrong with it.
Okay. So, were you raised with your dad and your mom?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about your relationship with your mom.
And my mom had a great relationship.
Why did I go into the relationship with the mom? Anybody know why? Here's why.
See what relationship he had with his mom?
Here's what made me want to go into. You're right. Why did he what?
Why didn't he have a relationship with his mom?
You assume that he didn't have a relationship with his mom. Why? Because he volunteered his dad. That's why I went into his mom. You volunteer me. Any information you volunteer, you want me to know that. Well, I want to also know what you don't want me to know. Tell me about your mom. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. That's your freedom sessions. It's simple. You're not trying to diagnose. Don't let the client lead you to that place where you're trying to fix a problem. I cannot fix a problem in a freedom session. I have to get a list of the problems. Now I've already got some problems. One of the problems is that it's environmental. I found a problem. I found a level 1 conflict. Communication, level 2 conflict. Personal communication, how he communicates. I found those things that quickly just through my freedom sessions. Once I get all my information and I'm writing this stuff down, and if you don't have legal pads, get some legal pads where you can just write it down. And after you're writing it down, you will be able to deal with the client in a way where the client is receptive to your influence. That's what you want. You want this type of relationship. Now, roles are reversed. Now, very quickly, you're picking up where you left off. Now we're going to start interviewing tell me about your mom. Roles are reversed now. You're the counselor. Let's get you on some freedom session. So tell me about your mom.
Tell me about your mom.
My mom was great. She was a pillar in the community. Everyone loved her. Always had the home was always welcoming. Anybody was welcome. Come in, have a meal, do something to eat. It didn't matter. She welcomed everyone.
How do you feel about that? How did she welcome you in the life?
Right. I was the middle child of 9, so I felt kind of special.
Okay. As you're digging, You don't see any problem. You don't see anything. You can move along. You can say, tell me about your brother and your sister. Tell me about your siblings. Tell me about your mom. Okay. Tell me if you had to describe the type of woman that she is, what would it be? And whatever she described, you can say, now describe yourself. Tell me, how do you see yourself?
Tell me how you see your mom. Let me ask you this. If you had to put one word on your mom, what would you say?
Loving.
That's a good one. Good job.
Elaborate.
She loved everyone. I mean, she had 9 children, and she loved all of us. I mean, none of us ever felt like
Start
we were
crying.
less.
Start crying.
You know, any less than.
We're going to pause. What's going on here? She started crying.
She's getting emotional because there's something about her mom she's not telling me.
There's something she's not telling. So I want to calm her emotions. I want to give her a Kleenex. I want to say, take your time. Here's the box of Kleenex. I want to give her that. I want to say, it's going to be all right. Take your time. Do you want something to drink? No, I don't want anything. You want some water? No, I don't want any water. Okay. And if I need to leave mom for a second and come back, I will. But if I say, are you going to be okay? Do you want to deal with this? I can do it. Let's go forward then. Because I know that if her emotion, you cannot hide. Listen to me, class. You can't hide where it hurts. So when the client is showing emotion, and for instance, you folded your arms and what you were saying in so many words, this is the way I am. This is the way my daddy led me to be. And ain't nobody better not tell me nothing about it either. So what I did, I vacated that area for a second. When you started crying about your mom, we consoled you. And then we want to say, tell me what's going on. Why are you crying? Things of that nature. You want to let the client lead you by just asking questions. You want to stay with questions that go like this. Why and how?
You want to dig
without probing.
Right.
Thank you so much. Y'all can come on down.
I got one question. When y'all doing the y'all freedom session like this, how you find time to write that quick? I mean, you asking a question.
You know how to write your own notes where you can understand it in a way that you can.
So I'm saying by the time you write one question,
You don't text a lot, do you?
no.
I text with a lot of young folks, so I text with broken words.
But yeah, you can
So
just
when I write with broken
go ahead, Dr. Young.
You writing down main ideas, not word for word what they're saying.
Not word for word. You're writing
So
down.
you actually write down the questions that you asking? Or
I might write down. See, you write down what is called signs and symptoms. Remember that subject in counseling. Signs are what the client. Of what you observe. Symptoms of what the client tell you. So you know what I wrote down in the freedom session that was just going on. Client got defensive when asked about his father. Client became emotional when asked about her mother. I'm just writing down stuff.
okay,
I'm writing.
so nothing related to the question. You just gonna have to remember what you asked.
You just gotta ask and let the client.
Now, see, that's what was getting me. Because I was trying to write the question down.
No, I'm not asking no question. I'm not writing the question. I'm asking a question, but I'm not writing the question.
If you get permission from your client.
You have to get permission from your client, though. If you're gonna record, you have to. We are recording. By law, I have to notify you that we are recording. Do I have your permission to record? You would then state your name, get the client to state their name, the date, the time, and your license number.
Okay.
To separate the recording. And you better not let that recording get out to anybody, or the licensing board is going to have an issue with that.
Okay. Signs and symptoms. Say that. What did you say?
Signs are what you observe. The symptoms are what the client tell you. The client may say, I have a personality issue, but you may observe something else. The client may say, I have a great relationship with my dad. But then you observe that the client actually gets angry when talking about his dad. So you will write both of those things down. You will write those things down. All right. Here's how your toolkit work. You know how the personality profile work. All of that's in your email. Don't be like Pastor Riley and you didn't take a look at it. Lesson 14 through 16. Don't be like Pastor Riley and Dr. Nelson that you didn't take a look at. I sent it a couple of weeks ago, right, Pastor Riley?
Yeah.
Yeah, you all asked for it a couple of weeks ago, and I sent it a couple of weeks ago. All right, here's what I want you to do. In lesson 14 through 16, you have tools. You have tools for relationship. Lesson 14 deals with all relationship tools. These are tools that you can use. For instance, tool number 1 is a relationship growth activity sheet. And what you would do, you would just sit down with the client and you would ask some of these questions. If it's a relationship, you would deal with the tool number 2, fair fighting rules. And you would just go over them with them. Let's talk about these rules. These are tools that you can use in your sessions. You know, when you get to that first base, not in your freedom sessions, but in your scheduled sessions, these are tools that you can use. These are the things, I statements. And you have before each tool, you have, for instance, let's say tool number 3, 4, and then it explains what the tool is and how it works. Lesson 15 has some tools. Lesson number 15 has the cognitive therapy tools. Looking back and looking forward. You remember that session about self-esteem? Here's a tool that we can use. Not only that, that's the looking back and looking forward. The fight or flight response. There's another tool. You have the problem solving packet. You're dealing with conflict resolution now. How to solve the problems. And you're also dealing with challenging anxious thoughts. Time management tips. Challenging negative thoughts. Good evening. You have all of that. Now, in lesson number 16, you have the grief and addiction therapy toolkit. You have tools in there that you can use if you're dealing with somebody with grief and addiction. You all see it. You got tools that you can use. Your tools, remember this about your tools. They don't heal anything. They only engage the client. You need the client to open up, and these are the tools you use. Every time we have a session, I'll start off with this, Pastor Riley. Give me the review of your week. Tell me one high point. Tell me one low point. After that, I may spend 15 minutes on it. Today, we're going to deal with... Today we have an exercise we're going to introduce. It's called the Substance Use Assessment Sheet. And I'm just going into the Substance Abuse Therapy Substance Assessment Sheet. I'm going into that. That's what you guys want to do. You want to make sure that you're using your tools. Using your tools. Now, when we come back to class, and coming back to class is going to look like March. What did I say that date was, Pastor? March 9th. March 9th. Is when we're coming back to class. Will you stop the recording right there, Dr. Young?